that hasn't seen the schedule yet, and we'll wait for the loading screen first before I go. So for anyone that hasn't seen the schedule, we are also going to have Team Adroit versus GeekBet in the next series and the final series of the night. So that should be another pretty great series to watch between those two. And that is straight after this series is over. Of course, there is still a potential for 2 games in this series, this one and the next one, assuming RR can pull off a victory. But if they can't, then we'll be back pretty much within 20 minutes for the next series anyway. Just a heads up. By the way, John, betting odds are up, and it seems as though Boom Esports are still sitting as the favourites before the game even starts. Not too heavy of a favourite yet, but they are looking pretty good in terms of betting odds.
Yeah. Again, they did win game 1. They have been on a bit of a hot streak, so wouldn't really blame it for having Boom as favorites. RR definitely having a lot more to prove here. It's really pivotal for them to just get that started. Like, you can, with the DK at the very least, once you get that Ags up, you do have a lot more potency in that Chronosphere. For example, if you're outside, the build-up is just kind of slow. You know, you're gonna have to prioritize that item very quick if you're playing around that sort of teamfight combination with the Chronosphere for the DK.
Right. Would it be a 2-for-2 trade on the bounty runes, a very even start as per usual. We did see in the last matchup, both teams were kind of just staying away from each other for the first 15 to 20 minutes or so. In fact, I believe by the 15-minute mark, we'd only seen about 5 or 6 kills. I imagine this time it should be a little more active between the two. You did talk about it a little bit, but are definitely going to want to try and get those spells on cooldown, especially once you have that Chrono, that Arena of Blood. You want to just start making rotations and see if you can set something up and get a little bit of an early snowball advantage for your team. So we shouldn't see as much of a passive game as game number 1.
For sure. Like, you take a look at how the lanes are going right now. They've only got FBZ up all alone, so he's trying to find something by himself. You've got the supports playing a lot more active down bot. You see Boom really trying to ensure that RR doesn't get anything from these lanes. They know what's up. They know the timings RR has to hit. They're not going to make it easy for RR to find that EXP and gold.
Yeah, Hustler, he'll go ahead and pull the creep wave away. Of course, he did get punished quite a bit by the task with Tag Team, and now he has to deal with Kezcute on the Oracle. Does go for the early level with Scatter Blast, which you do expect anyway. Should be able to fight back reasonably well up against Kezcute. Though I say that Dreamosaur is starting to rotate over to Hustler, and you've got to be a bit careful as they do have that level 1 Fortune's End. Hustler will try and be as disruptive as possible.
It's under attack.
All the equilibrium so far is Boom's way, and they should gain a very early level advantage over the side of RR in this safe lane.
That they really should. I think the one thing about the Riki though is that when it's at the creep wave, when it's at the tower, you don't tend to farm, although Hustler, pretty darn well.
Well, very low, but he's actually being healed up by the Purifying Flames. They weren't quite able to finish the job. So First Blood will not be found yet. In fact, Hustler, he basically heals up to 4 HP thanks to those Purifying Flames and the Tango that was active, but they'll go again. Dreamosaur is there. He gets a shotgun to the face and also speared back. He could Blink Strike, but I don't think he could really kill. And he'll leave Hustler be for a little bit. And even the top lane, like we saw the Centaur falling very low while that was happening.
Yeah, just a lot of pressure. I think that's down to Nuts trying to really apply those fire spirits every time he has them off cooldown. FBZ hasn't been too phased by it. Like, he is still playing in the lane, but he has extended all his region out. Nice badge from Drew as well.
FBZ does go down. Drew, he had enough damage. He had the Wraith Band available, and that does give him that little bit of a bonus. And that'll be First Blood going to the Void.
You don't want to risk that 100% bash from the Faceless Void. Trade badly and can't end bad, although true. Nice bash again.
It's a very lucky bash. Did he just salve up?
That he did. Just to get out. Just enough regen for him to back off. If he didn't have that last right click from Hyde might have been enough to clean him up. So I don't blame him for wasting that salve in that sense. He still has a full set of tangos, a nice amount of branches if he wants to go for the tree eating. So he's still going to be able to stay in this lane.
Well, Nuts will get caught out and he's still level 1. He doesn't have the Icarus dive and that'll be a very easy kill. That's the thing with the Hyde Tusk, he's pretty much always on point with the shards. So if you catch it like that, you are really kind of screwed over. As Makoto mid lane does also go down. Alacrity and Hustler will really work together. It looks like it was a cookie coming out from the Snapfire to set up onto the Storm.
It's these rotations that RR will need. You take a look at the state of that mid lane. Before that happened, Mikado just had way too much of a good time. Like, the DK's not dropping low or dying, but he's definitely not stopping that initial farm that Mikado is getting, and we have seen what he can do on the Storm when he gets a good start. He can find so much more on the map later on.
Yeah, just continue to try and slow down Alacrity the best he possibly can. Yeah, there's just nothing stopping him. Like, he'll just static remnant every single time he needs to. One of the lovely things about the Storm as well is you don't really mind pushing the creep wave into the T1 tower, because with those static remnants, it's just so easy to farm neutral camps. But we'll see more damage coming out on Alacrity. Sure, he'll heal all that up with Dragon Blood, but the creep wave gets pushed out and he will go into the jungle.
Just makes it really easy for Mikado. You aren't seeing too many wards to watch his movement, and of course, the supports are kind of tied up. Hustler did that rotation earlier on, but is kind of tied down. Like, he needs to help KYXY, who is still disrupting the farm of Dreamocell. He's a Ricky at 23-10, but you're not having the freest time for the Mars. You're not finding those kill ops you'd want with, you know, a Soul Ring up. You'd want to land those spears, try to get the cookie follow-up, burst down to Ricky while he's soft. Just not able to do so just yet.
FBZ getting chased down right now by Drew and Nuts, so there will be a rotation. Makoto, he cleans up Nuts. And that is a lot of time wasted for Drew. Currently has a creep wave underneath his T1 tower. They really wanted that Centaur kill, but Makoto, just realizing he could afford to jump in and snipe the Phoenix and save his Centaur.
Yeah, just a lovely pick off there. You do see some commitment down bot from RR to try to go on to Dreamocell. Is forced to salve, but otherwise, the combination kicking in from RR, not quite enough to find that Ricky. You do have Kezcute around anyway to try to heal him up and bail him out. So the damage from RR kind of lacking at this moment, at the very least.
And you are about to hit that level 4 mark where you have the Fates Edict and you can really efficiently heal up this Ricky every single time. Kezcute should have it with one more creep. Looking back over the mid lane, Alacrity, he has popped the Dragon Fall and has actually forced the T1 towering quite a bit. Makoto is going to be quite aggressive trying to force him back. He really wants to get that Siege creep down and it will finally drop. Back Hyde now will rotate as well on the Tusk. I don't believe they'll have the kill potential anyway. But they do protect the T1, which is really all they want. But I say that, Alacrity is just coming in with a full creep wave and he's just taking all the damage. Just using those last seconds of the Dragon Blood before the Dragon Form before it does wear off.
Yeah, I like seeing that coming out from Alacrity.
Loud jump.
Oh, am I? Uh-huh.
Well, you are now. It's just when you first come in, you just sound loud as hell. Anyway, bot lane, KYXY does end up going down. Kezcute finds a kill on the Oracle. And I apologize for interrupting, Don. It's just kind of like, you just kind of blasted my ear just there.
Yeah, no problem. My sound card's acting up a bit. Really old thing. Anyway, I like seeing that from Alacrity, just maximizing that first Dragon form. Very key to take out that mid-tier 1, mainly because it will take a lot away from Mikado. You know, he's not going to have safe access to his jungle anymore once you take that out.
Double damage.
Bot lane, they're doing the finding that Snapfire, but Alacrity now going to get jumped. Taxi is there from high. Alacrity is so tanky, nothing away. X1 rotates in. He isn't level 6, but it's not really necessary, or maybe it is. Kescute, he's trying to heal up the snowball. He's safe for now. Kescute just going to wait around, but he does go down at the end, as Hyde will now try to run the best he can. And a spear perfectly connects from KYXY. They do pick up both supports, and if you really want to, with that Dragon form up, you could continue trying to force him to T1, but Alacrity, underneath the T1 tower, they'll rotate nuts down the Phoenix, and they really do want to just prioritize his tower.
Very low.
Dreamer's going to come in. The tower's already down. I'm not sure if this is the fight. KYXY, he's just going to stand his ground up against Makoto, but eventually should die. Don't know. He stick charges up, but Purifying Flames will just take him out. But I think RR still wins that outright, because you take the T1 tower and you force 4 heroes to rotate mid and really only just find 1 Mars pickoff.
Definitely. It's still something RR is going to be very happy with. Like, that mid-tier 1 is what they want. So Mikado is going to have a bit of a harder time having safe farm in his jungle camps. But they still find at least a kill, like a consolation prize for Boom. They did throw Dreamo Cell up very early on, so he's not farming in his lane, which is probably a good thing, as RR is setting up for the bot tier 1 push now as well.
Oh, Alacrity going to get surrounded, however. They know he's farming there somewhere. No one can make the jump. Fortune's in. Tag team. They should have the damage, but again, KYXY is there. But you still don't have that level 6 on the Mars. And Alacrity, he won't get the cookie off in time from Kostler. And with that KYXY, he may also go down. You'll see nuts come in, but he's only level 3 on the Phoenix. And the snowball will connect. He does lose his life as KYXY misses a spear, and that should mean his life is forfeit, as well as FBZ going for the Stampede. They want absolutely everybody. They will not get Hustler, but who cares about the support Snapfire? You found so much more.
You found all of those kills, and right before the 10-minute mark, Dreamo Cell and Hyde took the outpost. So they got all the XP from both outposts as well. Just in the middle of that fight, they break off, they just capture, they cop some damage, they get the XP in the end. A big win for Boom from that little trade at the 2k advantage in gold, and setting themselves up quite nicely in terms of EXP. This is a massive issue for RR with their draft. They need level 6 on all of their heroes, on their Mars, on their Phoenix, and they're just not quite there yet.
Drew, one of the skills is Chrono going to be committed, but the snowball! In fact, no snowball. What was that? He just disappeared. Never mind. Hyde threw the shards and apparently just hit the storm. Nevertheless, Hyde going to be run down. Snowball now comes out, but he should die.
Just not much to do there. They did finally throw out that first chrono. I believe that's Drew's first chrono of the game. They find the biggest target they could. So you are kind of keeping Mikado in check. That's definitely what you want to see. You are seeing the power of that combination if you do land the Chronosphere out. With your Snapfire around, the Kisses makes easy work of any hero. A lot of potential there for RR. They will need to play around that. But you would like to see them continuously pumping that out and continuously keeping Boom on edge with that potential.
We do also finally see KYXY at 6. And that is going to be pretty important. If I may compare the two offlaners though, FBZ sitting at level 8, about to hit that level 9 mark, is currently forcing in a tier 2 tower at the top lane. He does use his Hood of Defiance and is moving forward onto Nuts. Nuts does have Icarus Dive, so he should be okay, but Dream Missile is waiting on the right side. Icarus Dive, but Dream Missile in the exact right spot. And that is just fantastic positioning and prediction coming out from Dream Missile. And they are able to secure that top tier 2. In fact, mid lane, they make another jump. Drew, he gets caught out. The Arena of Blood is there to help out. The Time Warp isn't off cooldown in time. He'll lose his life. KYXY trying to run away. He'll hold his shield up, but it doesn't matter. The Hustler still trying to fight, but it really doesn't matter at all. He's only a Snapfire now. Alacrity, he was joining into the team fight, but although he's tanky, he's not really that tanky when you're surrounded by 5 heroes, and he will be the 4th to drop in that team fight.
4 heroes dropping off the bat for RR. Just like that, they tried to jump the Storm Spirit, but without that Chrono, we talked about it from the draft, you cannot hope to do enough without the Chronosphere onto Mikoto, right? He's just gonna have free reign to jump in and out. That gave them a massive opportunity from Boom to just immediately go for their kills after getting the top tower. And now they're rotating around nuts once more. Level 5
Snowball. Fortune's end a bit too late. Could they turn this? No arena. KYXY thought about throwing the spear out, but didn't really have a tree to latch onto. That'll be the end of that. A 4K net worth lead at 13.5 minutes here for Boom. They are looking great.
Dire's bottom tower is under
Graph, that's what it looks like. RR just not able to really get themselves much of a lead. They did have a slight net worth lead around that 5 to 10 minute mark, but that is certainly dissipated now. Maybe they find Mikoto, but I don't see a void around with Chrono. Drew, he's down a bot lane, trying to finish off his Diffusal Blade. And, well, he'll spot FBZ up, but I don't think that's the target he really wants to see. He gets a lucky bash, but it really means Jack. Well, maybe it does. FBZ is falling quite low. If you get a couple more bashes, maybe you could commit Chrono. But, well, he has heroes rotating in. KYX1 Hustler are there. Arena is up. Mortimer's Kiss is also up. You do have Stampede on FBZ. Dream Assault. Gonna be there. FBZ baiting. Arena comes out now. Sunray to try and burn him down as much as possible. There's the Stampede and the False Promise. Drew, where's the Chrono? He commits it, but it was all a bait. They've lost Lux in the Phoenix. Snapfire kisses fly up, and everyone else is probably gonna die here as RR needs to back the hell out of here immediately. Snapfire flies back. Alacrity is getting surrounded. Somehow FBZ survived throughout all of this, and Alacrity now gonna slowly be chipped away at. As Fortune's then does connect to Mikoto, he's afraid of nothing that the Chrono is down. Cookie misses, Snowball connects on two. Drew trying to run, in fact he's trying to fight, but really, I think it's time to leave. And what a shards coming out from Hyde. That is terrible, terrible news for the RR fans out there.
They bit the bait. FBZ is not the target to go for. They know they are trying to play around their timings. They do want to find those kills, but you don't opt to settle for a Centaur that you can't even finish off. They will find Kesby, maybe.
There's 3 heroes chasing him down. Kesby says, I want to die. Kill me. It's fine. It's always a little bit demotivating when it takes 3 heroes, 2 of those heroes being cores, to have to get involved and kill a position 5 Oracle.
For sure, right? You have to expend a lot to get that kill. RR blew pretty much off their ults, except for Egg. So, Nut still has Egg. You don't have Chrono. You will have Kisses up in around 20 seconds, so there is an opportunity there. And you do have Arena up in KYXY. So there is some ways to counterplay now, but Boom knows without a Chrono, they have leeway to just farm up however they want. And you have to be a bit cautious on, like, Dreamo Cell. But Mikoto has free reign while this is done, and Boom are in a position to just take their time. Just farm up, no pressure.
Oh, Drew, he just time walked. He could be in big trouble, but they'll go up. The Phoenix Nuts drops a Sentry Ward. He's gonna die. Drew needs to get out immediately, and he does. He time walks away. He'll be fine. The Green Missile with that Diffusal Blade up is gonna be a real menace now for RR, because you really don't have escape mechanisms for the Smokescreen Diffusal. In fact, mid lane, I believe it was. No, in fact it was top lane. Hustler getting caught out by Mikoto on the Storm. Nobody's safe on the map for RR. Absolutely nobody.
No, it really is. Yeah, right. There's just no place to be that you can safely feel like you can just farm up. You have an Invis Ricky walking around with so much space. You have Mikoto who can just dive in. You've got even Hyde is kind of mobile with that snowball. So there's a lot to be cautious about here for RR. They do have the Chrono up. So this is the moment for them to try to take a fight. Drew should be joining his team to go for a defense or trying to make a move. Does wait for his Diffusal, so he's going to have a bit more damage in that Chrono.
You've also got the Bloodstone now up from Mikoto. So he's going to have plenty more sustain as well as that active, which, you know, after a chrono can be very, very effective to just heal you back up substantially and essentially allow you to reset and get back into the team fight if they don't kill you off.
Dire's top tower is under
We'll see,
attack.
Boom, they may wish to get more aggressive as that Bloodstone is now available. On top of that, FBZ has got the pipe as well as a Vanguard. I don't know if he really wants to finish off the Crimson Guard yet, because perhaps they're not really afraid of the damage coming out of RR at the moment. He may opt to go for the Blink, and it looks like he is. But FBZ's farm on the Centaur is also extremely scary. Like, he is a non-target. In fact, they do jump the Ricky, but there's the Fate's Edict. We talked about this. You have to get the Oracle first. Drew, he's been caught out in that smoke screen. Now he's attacking as well, but looks like Makoto, he'll jump in with the Vortex. He does grab the boy, but not quick enough. He kind of walks away. Now the X-Star going to be there on Makoto. He does go down. That is a huge kill for RR. Green Assault blinks out of there, but he's been slowed by the defusal of Drew. Cookie, not going to stun anybody. Sentries everywhere for Green Assault, but they're just going to settle on Hyde. The smoke screen too annoying. They always punch tag team, but Drew should be able to get this kill eventually, so no. Snowball away, Hyde is on the Great Escape. He has the TP scroll, but can he juke them out well? Huston's gonna find it. There's no way out of this. He tries to shards block himself.
I can't believe you punched me right in the
But RR, I thought it was a terrible start after that chrono committal on a solo Ricky without the Oracle. Turns out there was a bit of a misplay from Makoto. He got stunned up by the DK and then followed up by the Phoenix Egg, and that was enough.
Yeah, a lot more going the way of RR. It's still not the ideal fight. In fact, they're losing Hustler.
Yeah, Makoto will get himself a nice Bloodstone charge after losing a few. Smokes immediately after that creep wave, and they want revenge, and they want it now. They still know they are way ahead of RR, and without Chrono Arena and Dragonform, and even Ed, there's just no way you fight into the side of Boom. Problem is, nobody from RR is really showing on the map. So you are going to have to venture pretty deep into the Dire side to try and find out where these heroes are, and they will just hold in their base.
I like the patience here from RR. They understand that they would be hunted down at this moment, right when they don't have the chrono up. They just need to wait about half a minute, then it's going to be back up, then they can try again. If they keep getting these combinations off and force Boom to kind of split their focus like that, they aren't quite equipped to really deal with the egg just yet, although they might be giving a Roshan away.
Double damage!
Well, can you fight? Like, you've got Arena back up. Chrono's 10 seconds away. They may have time if they can extend the team fight, but they need to go right now. They don't have vision, however. It looks like they're just not aware. They'll scan it out, but it's too late. Boom will pick it up.
Like this! Stupendous!
Smoke is still there, so they could try to go for a team fight and just ignore Makoto. They'll see a target they hate looking at, which is FBZ on the Centaur, and FBZ just running forward. He doesn't care. KOXY gets a nice spear off. Dragon being popped, and they want to jump on that Oracle. Chips is flying in. Egg to be popped immediately, and with that Oracle dead, they can't afford to fight into this, I don't think, but now the egg is over. FBZ, he's been left behind. He is a very, very tanky boy. KYXY, Arena is running. Now Green Assault jumps from the Phoenix. They do find one. Snowball on to the boy Drew. He's falling low. Can they actually take him out, however? Waller's punch won't be enough. Dream Assault now getting chronoed up through. He's found a high priority target, but they're losing support in the backline still. RR looking really good with a very nice spear on Makoto, pushing him out of the team fight. And now FBZ, he's been left alone, and he's gonna die. And RR, John, against all odds of winning these team fights. They did not aim Makoto, they completely ignored him, and he still has the Aegis, but it means nothing if you can't use it.
Yeah, they're making the most out of all of these spells they have. They did get the big target there. They found the Oracle first. That set the pace for them. Boom just relies so much on the threat and presence of Kezcube that when he drops like that, you are losing out in these exchanges. You're not going to have any way of really making Drew double think about dropping that Chronosphere. You're not going to have a way of saving your Storm, saving your Ricky. and that leaves Boom very vulnerable. This does give a lot more to Reality Rift. They are still playing 8k behind, but you are starting to see all of the things they want come together. They're playing around their cooldowns quite well. Drew has been pretty on point, at the very least, with the follow-ups on Chrono, like just tossing it out to the Ricky when that Oracle's gone is pretty much enough. I think the issue for Boom was that they were trying to force it in, even though they were fighting from the low ground. So they were forcing a very odd fight to begin with, and that's something Boom has to avoid. If they give RR the space and the position advantage like that, then these spells will wreak havoc. They lose their Oracle straight up, everything else will fall apart.
Well, Boom, they still hold an 8k net worth lead. Like, it's not really budging at all. It went down by about 1 or 2k in that team fight, but that's really not that much. But if they can do that a couple more times, Makoto jumping onto Drew, the hood stopping, connects and cancels the TP. It's always very scary when you hear that ball lightning coming from a mile away as you're TPing. And I believe the Static Remnant gave enough vision for FBZ to get the stun off. And with that, the tier 2 bot tower will be lost.
That's the last outer tower for RR as well. So once they lose that, the map is going to be a bit harder to go around. That will allow Boom to really just apply that pressure and to really start hunting a lot more. They should take care of these wards though. RR does have some pretty fantastic wards to watch the movement out. That means they're not going to find anything from this smoke.
Yeah, nice TP up. KYXY, he's sticking around. He does have a Blink TP available if he just wants to blink deeper into the trees. He won't need it.
It's under attack.
Just TP straight out of there. Again, they just hold in their base. All ultimates available for RR, so we'll smoke up again.
Ward. That was under a ward.
Uh-oh.
Boom is completely aware, although they could still get caught out. We've seen this happen before. FBZ.
Well, FBZ, he's frontlining. He'll break the smoke, trying to bait them in. We've seen this one before. KYXY misses the initial spin. Makoto, he does get stunned. This could be really bad for him. He gets the chrono off in time. Not quite. They will not get it off. Now FBZ goes straight onto that snapfire. Arena will be dropped. Does catch a few at the end. Is also then Makoto trying to focus it, but they caught him out with the stun. And he ages for his fire. Now a very nice chrono, but he's watching his own team as well. Hyde with a nice shot. Makoto still trying to zip around, but it looks like Boom have no business in this team fight. They need to get out. Hyde, he will get speed into a tree, and he will be the secondary to die. And so RR, although again we see a couple misplays, they still win out in the team fight, only losing the snapfire themselves. They also claim the Aegis on top of that Ricky Tusk.
Really big exchange there for RR. Boom is starting to have some issues. Every single time the team fight starts to break out, they're not quite sure where to put that focus. They don't focus down the egg, although, Drew?
Yeah, Drew, you can't... Just because they win these team fights doesn't mean that they're completely safe. They still have no map control. We talked about in the draft phase, Boom Esports, they have great single pick-off potential.
They're gonna have better team fight now as well. Mikado finishing up the Ags on the Storm.
Ouch.
They have way bigger AoE control. That's something they were kind of lacking beyond FBZ.
Oh, the mini black hole is here from the Storm, and that's a concern. That is a real big concern. If you are Boom right now, you know the ultimates are down, you definitely want to try for another pick on Nuts. Gonna get caught. Dream Assault will pick up that kill on the Phoenix. Only issue for Boom, I'd say, is that they don't have a creep wave pushed in, so they can't really capitalize off these ultimates being down.
That's going to be really fortunate for RR. Don't have to worry about it too much. By the time that creep wave comes in, you could see the chrono being very close. It's just about a minute off, although.
Yeah, but go onto the Mars. Yeah, can't wait. He dropped the arena, but FBZ doesn't care about it. Fortune's end. Nobody can be there to help out KYXY. He just dies. Kescute, the one to pick up the kill on the Oracle. That's always nice as a support.
It's the damage. Those Purifying Flames just eats right through that Mars. You really have to be careful here as RR. Like, again, they are finding these combinations in the fights, but oh boy.
Bot lane, all they found is going to be the Void Drew.
Dotted line.
They just dip out a bit too much. Even right by that ramp, that's a dangerous spot all by yourself as the Faceless Void. You get punished hard.
They finally checked for the base ward. They do get it, but it got so much value for Boom in that time. Like,
It spotted that smoke way earlier on. That was pretty much it. That was enough. It told them, it gave them that Drew kill as well because they knew no one was really close enough to bail them out. So they've just gotten so much value. Dewarded now, sure, that's fine. They've already gotten the most out of it, and Boom looks to be pretty much set to, once more, set the pace of the game. You look to RR though. Chronosphere will be back up when Drew is up. They have the egg, they have the arena, they have the kisses. We could see that big team fight break out once more, and Boom, they haven't been respecting the power of that.
oh, Makoto. Cookie is going to be there, only pushing KYXY forward. Won't lead to anything anyway. You do have all ultimates up apart from the Dragon form right now. So they may just wait 40 seconds for that Dragon form before they try to go for another team fight on the side of RR. Or perhaps you just wait for the high ground push coming out from Boom, but I do believe Boom will probably just wait for the next Roshan. In fact, it is up in about an hour, a minute and 40 seconds, not an hour. That would be a little bit too long. In fact, never mind, they won't. They smoke up, smoke will be broken. Ping's coming out immediately.
That was from the low ground in the camp. They dust up, but Drew was nowhere there. So they're just kind of stuck.
Radiant are scanning.
This is really awkward.
They know.
Haste.
Oh, they definitely know. And FBZ gets started on KYXY, trying to bait them in again. Here comes the Dragon Form from Alacrity. Dreamer Cell, who'll put the smoke screen down. They don't want to aim the Centaur. They know this. They've learned from their past two mistakes. And Alacrity will go on to hide instead. The Tusk is even quite a tanky target. He'll snowball up and go into the neutrals. Meanwhile, Drew is standing and pretending he's a tree, just waiting for the right moment. But Boom Esports do not group up. They don't show themselves. They wait. And neither one really commits.
A lot of restraint from both teams. RR knowing that, you know, the Centaur is really not the target to go for. And Boom this time, not clumping up. We've seen them make that mistake multiple times, coalescing into where RR is, getting punished severely. After two fights of that, they are just playing the patient game. So they're not going to be rushing in head first. They know they have the potential for their solo pickoffs. They've killed Drew alone couple of times. That's probably what they're going to be looking for, or waiting for at least one of the spells to be blown first. Either the egg or the Chronosphere gone first, and then that's when Boom will make the move. So until then, the pressure is on RR to actually use these spells. Like, they're sitting up there, they're not using it, they're not finding kills, which means that they're not finding a way back in to narrow that net worth lead Boom has to try to take control back in the map. This still does favor Boom.
A has an opportunity to commit those ultimates now though. The Roshan is going to be taken. Problem is they don't have wards around the Roshan here because they haven't been able to leave the base. And so unless you scan right now, you're going to have no clue this is happening. And as of now, it's too late anyway. They can't break the gap between themselves and the Roche pit. So another Roshan will go to the way of Boom Esports. Cheese and Aegis this time around. The Cheese, of course, will go to the Ricky, I believe, and yeah, Dreamsoul picks it up for himself. In that time, RR do at least get a BKB up on Alacrity, so he won't be quite as affected by the storm. And you've also got a match style up on Drew, so a bit more damage for him. And they may go for a fight. They spun out FBZ. Alacrity does have the blink to initiate for his team.
FBZ has a heart now. That's not a target you'll ever want to go for in any case. Like, heart on scent, 32 minutes in, going for the Ags next. So once that Ags is up, I think Boom would be much more comfy in taking these fights, right? They've got a way to kind of mitigate that damage. They've got a lot more ways to fight. I think it's going to be super useful for the high ground. They're not going to be constrained by that ramp. You have the BKB on Mikado, so you can't even rely on that Dragon Tail anymore for the stun and the cookie. It has to be the Chronosphere.
Oh, what'd I miss? Over here!
And he's on the courier. Boom and smoked up as 4. Of course, Makoto can just zip across the map, so they don't need him to smoke up. He'll happily show himself at the bot lane. Boom, however, aren't going to really find anybody they really want to go for, unless it's Drew. And Drew, again on the stairs, this time he does time walk away, and Makoto does not get the vortex off. Not in time anyway, but look at FPC. He's using Retaliate to push in that tier 3 tower, and he's out healing the tower damage. And apparently Drew does no damage to it. They jump in now with a nice vortex. Arena on block. Will he drop it? Drew is dead. He doesn't have buyback call. The Phoenix Edwards leaves be able to tick all the way out. And perhaps you find Makoto, but that is early in ages. Can you find him a second time? Not with that big game of water vortex. Makoto, he found 3 of them. They will all go down. They buy back as well. The KYS line. He's falling way too quick. He's there. Now they'll go onto Alacrity. The DK also going to go down. He tries to fight the best he can, but he doesn't have buyback either. And they're just diving tier 4s. Green is on ultra here with the rampage. They won't get it yet. Come on, Boom. Give him the rampage. GD's been called. KY's won't know. He will stun. Will the game end? Smoke screen rampage is there. Brimstone will steal it before the game is over. KY's trying to ruin Christmas to bring this on. He will not get away with it. There is no Grinches in this game too. And that'll be it for this series, John. Boom Esports convincingly take a 2-0 up against RR.
There were some shining moments there from RR. There were some pretty good looking team fights. In the end, they couldn't really bring it to Boom. They messed up a lot of team fights as well. The combination's just really hard to pull off. I don't blame RR. You're asking for perfect chronos, perfect arenas, perfect eggs, and that's just such a tall order for every single player to do every single time, especially against a team like. So props to RR for some pretty spectacular